practice, pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't missing my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own. Tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues. Guess if you ain't at the table, you on the menu. And I'm that spitter, baby. They don't want you to see, but everybody's out to Capitol Hill's rocking with me. Boys smoke the trays and plan to getting their life together. I'm comfortable with my role, so I'm like, whatever. Me? I ain't got a job, but I work hard. And you don't work hard, but you got a job. The irony is I'm judged while you feel the applause. I'm slept on, that's why I had to set this alarm. My dudes is armed, I'm armed with this arm charm. Body banging like she got that cream from Barry Bonds. Yeah.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
That Dre season is here, a real hitter with a mic, I'm everything that they fear. With that hood ain't the same, I was all on their ass, I'm level-headed. So yo, my dudes love when I spaz, and I'm so over Seattle's passive-aggressive attitude. They don't call you back, what they really saying is F you. While I'm from the same place, I move at a different pace. I prefer if you just said it to my face, damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it
I hate
for
these
us.
average dudes with they average spit, writing average rhymes, knocking average chicks. The closer I get, I can feel the people starting to shift. I'm loyal to a fault, and everybody can't come with. Rap's a rich man's game, I'm only playing with change. They bang models and singers, I'm knocking my own flame, I'm different. The crowd, I move with the chosen few. Black thoughts, I could be the front man for the roots. No diamonds and gold, I'm on my sticks and stones. If we can see your panty line, you should have on a thong. My team is strong, through this fire we forged a bond. And they already know what it is when I get on. To the hearse, party like it's December 31st. When I'm on my deathbed, I probably cracking my nurse. You ain't got the bars to compete, I'm a verbal athlete. Deflating these boys so they say that I cheat. Damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Yeah. I should probably start by apologizing for the long wait, man. You know, I know I be tripping. But I'm not just a rapper, I'm an artist. And, you know, my creative process is a little bit different than most. Nonetheless, I want to welcome everybody out to the Dre's Experience. I got TCF in the building. My whole camp's here with me. I got the band in here laying this cool-ass vibe. And I'm Seattle's own. Let's get into it.
Grand Rising and good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday, and we want to welcome you to a magnificent Monday. The sun is out there shining. The wind's a little cold for the Pacific Northwest, but it's actually very normal. We're really used to that. Of course, I'm excited to be back in studio with my co-host with the most, Big O. What up, Big O?
We used to it. You know, I'm a tropical brother.
No, look, yeah, you just came from all that nice and warm weather too. I know it's different.
It was nice and warm down south.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Down in Texas and in Georgia, and you return back home to this, and it's like, whoa.
Hey.
This is
weather shock.
Man, what's good? It's good to be back in the studio with you, Trey Holiday.
Yeah, we missed you. I'm so glad you're back. You're looking nice and fresh, man. You know, we appreciate that your energy is back here in the Black Media Matter studios, my friend.
Yeah, no, the energy's high. This is a great week right here, man. Lots of great stuff already happening. We'll talk about here in a second, but we just released the news here. Our offices in Portland up and open and running. Yeah, we got a studio coming online there later on this summer. So, it's lots of good energy, man. You know what I'm saying? Before I dive into everything, we got some great guests here. And I know that you're very familiar with their work. Why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to talking to. We got Anthony Powers in the building. We got Blaze Vincent in the building. They are doing some phenomenal work with American Equity, a new website that has launched. It is now national. So we'll be talking to them about, this launch. They also have a local event coming up to really celebrate this launch. I'm looking forward to it because it is one of a kind. And apparently apparently it's now being kind of heralded, across the nation as like the top leading type of site. So, that brilliance, man, Black brilliance from right here, man, it's amazing.
So that's also some town business
Yeah.
sprinkled up in there, man, because you know what I'm saying? No matter what it is, man, you know what I'm saying? The town, we come up with stuff, but it just goes, all around the bubble. You feel me? I mean, man, it's only going to be a few months from now. They're going to be like, oh, yeah, people in Belgium want to use this site. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, right.
Come on, man. You got Anthony and Blaze in here. They going to take this game from Maine to Spain, from Turkey to Albuquerque. You know what I'm saying? Putting everybody on the equity, man.
I love it. You are absolutely right. And their drive is really strong and they're dedicated to it. So I'm excited to dive in with them.
All right, good stuff. Well, back in the studio, back on First Avenue. It's loud out there. Here we go. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. My name is Omari Salisbury, and I want to remind you that right now is a perfect time for you to tag and share the stream. Go ahead and tag and share the stream with people you feel would appreciate culturally relevant news and information emanating from right here in the Emerald City. Want to give a big shout out to our partners over at KBCS 91.3 over at Bellevue College, and of course, the South Seattle Emerald. Reminding everybody you can listen to the Morning Update Show and all of Converge Media's programming anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast. We got SoundCloud over there in the link, but you can also go to Google, Spotify, iTunes, over 200 different podcast platforms. You'll find us there. Just search Converge Media Network. Time in the show right now. I'll remind people, hereforuswa.org. Hereforuswa.org, culturally curated news and information regarding COVID-19, the vaccine, testing, boosters. I'll be honest with you, man, it's depending on who you talk to. Matter of fact, let me stop that. It's not depending on who you talk to. I'm going to call Christina Braddock over there at Public Health as soon as we get off. So it isn't depending on who we talk to. We're gonna talk to her. We're gonna talk to Dr. Duchin. But across the country, people are talking about people catching COVID and going to the hospital with COVID. We know a lot of people caught COVID and they kind of sat at home for a few days.
Yeah, it's real. This is why, people are still encouraging certain mask wearing, particularly at venues. I mean, I end up going to a lot of different things, being out here in community and, in this kind of social world of like in-person stuff. And I tell you, people are still asking for not just your vaccination record. We see people that are doing, on-site testing. We also see people that are saying you have to wear your mask. There are still businesses that are encouraging folks to wear masks. It's really a funny thing because now it's been, in the hands of business owners, venue owners. It's now specific to certain spaces, but you are right. Oh man, people are still catching COVID.
Anybody that got some money or there's some money making kind of person in the industry, like a lot of stuff you're going to is entertainment and venues. You're around a lot of celebrities, actors, actresses, authors, everything else. They ain't playing.
Yeah, no, they're not. And I understand it because I wouldn't be playing either. I'm not playing for me. You know what I mean? I still got to go home to my sons, make dinner. So for me, it's like COVID is one of those things. It's not only a sickness, but to be honest, it's also an inconvenience, because then you got to quarantine. I got to be in my room, locked down, 24/7. It is not pretty. So I'm not trying to catch it.
Yeah. So here for us, .org, lots of information there. Like I said, I'm gonna reach out to Public Health today because I just seen it's weird, it's just different information coming in from different parts of the country. So we definitely want the best information on what it's looking like here in Martin Luther King County, as well as the state of Washington, and what the hospitals are looking like and everything else. So we'll update you on that tomorrow. All right. So we got some big news. We got an overlay here. This is coming out of Portland, Oregon. There it is. We got a link we'll put in the comments right there too. And it's Converge Media launches Portland production office with studio coming online later this summer. Trey Holiday.
I get to do my girly girl fangirl out about Converge. This is exciting news indeed all around. And I will say this. One of the things that I appreciate so much about being a part of Converge is hearing how people receive us, to know that we have people in Portland who are already tuning in. Now we'll have a hub there, amazing news all around, and also really a true showcasing of the dedication of building up Converge. So I'm just excited. I can't tell you how excited I am to get down there, see the studios when it opens, help open it up. I'm just pumped. I'm excited.
Yeah, you know, if I could share this with everybody, and don't worry, we're gonna load in a lot of news headlines tomorrow, but I wanted to leave some space today to talk about this right here. If I could share this with everybody, when we talk about going forward in your purpose and thriving in your purpose, you know, that came about because I was sitting there and I was talking to my dad. I was in North Carolina, and I said, Dad, look at this. And it's something that I wrote 6 years ago now, me and Eric Calligraphy. And I said, Converge Media, we want to be a platform that uplifts Black stories, Black content creators for the distribution, marketing, and monetization of their work. And we said that we wanted to have a footprint across the Pacific Northwest to uplift Black content creators and Black stories. And I'm like, yo, that's exactly what we doing. That was 6 years ago. Let me tell you something. 6 years ago, man, I was couch surfing. I was selling beer and peanuts at T-Mobile Park. I was picking up Uber and Lyft shifts. Matter of fact, Converge at that time didn't even own a camera. Anything Converge was doing was pen on paper. I was writing articles and blog posts and all kinds of stuff, man. You know, but I just want to be clear to this, man, when you got a vision, irregardless, you know what I'm saying? We just say never let go of the vision. And it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Every Uber shift closer to the vision. Every peanut sold at T-Mobile Park, Safeco then, closer to the vision. You know, all these long nights, it's closer to the vision. And so, you know, it's a big moment for us, but even more, it's an affirmation and a reaffirmation that we continue to thrive in our purpose. And, you know, a lot of people found out or came aware of Converge during the protest. So a lot of people think that we didn't exist before then. But, man, we've been around for years, uplifting our community to the best of our ability. I tell people all the time, if we ain't have a camera, a video camera, well, I'd use a still camera. If we ain't have a still camera, I use an audio recorder. If we ain't have an audio recorder, I'm going to write it down. If I can't write it down, you're going to get an oral history, because the story don't live in the camera. Those are all ways to distribute the story. The story lives here. The story lives in your heart. You know what I'm saying? And I tell people, man, don't let nothing stop you. Our first camera was, you know, it was the cheapest iPhone. It was used. This is me and Eric Calligraphy. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, yo, we gonna put paint where it ain't, bro. You know what I'm saying? Let's just make the iPhone cool out here. As far as, you know, we ain't got nothing big, and so we popped it off with the Camera Phone Collective, man. And believe it or not, one of them camera phones is over there right now in the Museum of History and Industry. You know, so I mean, it's a dope feeling today. We got a lot. I feel like we behind. You know what I'm saying? I got to make up for the years in that Uber, man. You know what I'm saying? We still some years behind as to where the vision is. But you know what? We're moving forward, and I'm so thankful and appreciative of everybody out there who continuously supports us, who keeps us on the air, who sends us all these good vibes and prayers and everything else.
I agree with you 100%. And being involved in the vision has been so amazing for me personally. And, you know, for me, it was a busy weekend, right? It was. But the week, the last couple of weeks have really been affirming in terms of me living in my purpose. And, you know, as Dr. Joy DeGruy said, you know, you stay in your lane and you pave your lane well. And when you do that, you know, others really resonate with how you are painting that lane, how you're walking in that lane, how you're thriving in that lane. And it really stuck with me. And to hear so many people really say to me on behalf of Converge, like, hey, what you guys are doing is phenomenal. They're just like, look, we see y'all. You know what I mean? Veronica Very over there at the Wow Gallery was just like, sister, I see you. And that is the entire, book, a whole theme of theirs at the Wow Gallery is Dear Sister, I See You. And just shout out to everybody who has really showed that they really appreciate what we're doing here at Converge. It is beyond just the relationships that I have in community. It is people who experience us sometimes for the first time that go, oh my gosh, whether they've been all over the globe, they still understand the benefit of what we're doing right here out of the Pacific Northwest for Black content creators and for Black stories. So I appreciate those messages wholeheartedly, yo.
Yeah, something people might not realize, and it's always shocking to me every time I'm down south. I was down there, like I said, in Texas and in Georgia. This is a rare experience here. There's lots of media companies that are doing different media things, but basically a TV production studio. And we saw that, and you don't really get it because, like, for us, this is just what we always been doing. But it isn't until the national acts come into town and we get the national acts in here. You know what I'm saying? Like Joshua Conyers, it was in here. It was like, yo, these Black artists might go all around America. And Seattle, the only city where they walking in to a Black Media Matters studio. And like for us, this is just our thing. And it isn't until people who are from out of town who move around and they do tons of interviews all over the place. They're in New York, they're in LA, they're in Miami, they're in Houston, but they come here to Seattle and they're like, wow.
This is exactly what I'm saying. It gives me the goosies thinking about it because Norman Garrett said it too. Literally being in certain spaces. I think for me as a person, growing up and watching things, you have this concept. Maybe sometimes it's a preconceived notion that like, oh, this must exist everywhere. And then people come from all over the place. And they're like, this don't exist nowhere I've been. And I'm talking about people who have traveled globally, performing globally. So the idea that you're right. Oh, what we're doing here is such a unique experience, and really to see it light up on their faces when they come into this Black Media Matter studio, it's like a whole thing, and it's something that resonates with me, and I take it home with me all the time in terms of my gratitude because years ago, I promise you 2017 was one of the darkest years for me, man. And literally the next year, you and I connected and started doing stories, and nobody could have told me, you know what I'm saying? 5 years later that I'd be, interviewing all of these amazing folks, really representing Black narratives, Black stories, the heart of, our resilience. Come on, man. With a wall behind me on a daily basis that represents Black excellence from right here in Seattle. I'm telling you, you can't make this up.
It's something to be said though, to sticking to the script. We just stayed who we are. We said from day one, we want to uplift Black people, Black voices, and everything else. And clearly, we rock with everybody. That's why everybody be on Converge here, regardless of color, race, creed, orientate. You know what I'm saying? Converge love everybody. Everybody love Converge. But this is this lane, and especially after the protests, we had an opportunity to go into any lane that we wanted to. But man, we go bigger and talk this, that, and everything else. And I'm like, nah, we just want to talk to some Black folks in the CD in South End and in King County. But like staying true to that though is just, what I'm saying? It goes deeper and deeper into, into our community and into our roots and everything else. And like you said, we've stayed in our lane and we've paved our lane, never trying to be anything more. And this is still this show right here and this company as a whole. But this show right here said, man, we just trying to make our parents proud, Big Mama and them proud. When we do that, we won.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If we can make our community proud, then we're doing a good thing. So it's a good day. And I'll say this, I'll give everybody a heads up. The good news for this week is not over yet. It's just beginning. You definitely want to stay tuned.
Yeah, this week is phenomenal. I'm excited to dive in and share all of the good news because honestly, it's really a reflection of the dedication and the effort that is put here by all of us, the whole family at Converge.
Yeah, no, good stuff. So look, I'm gonna get out of here quickly here. I want to give a lot of space and grace to these impeccably dressed brothers in the studio today, so they can tell us what's going on. But I did want to pop in on this though, real quick, and just I might write something. You know, I'm feeling. You can tell I feel good, man. I get to write and everything. Hello, man. There's around this issue here with police and the Seattle Police Department, their recruitment. You know, they've lost 300 some odd officers for all kinds of reasons, though. Don't believe the hype. You know, some of the officers that left here saying they weren't being supported are the same officers who did that Proud Boy hoax. Same officers that, you know, yeah, I mean, anyways, I won't get off on that. But here's the thing is so the city is talking about, you know, one of the proposals is council member Sarah Nielsen. And Sarah Nielsen's like, hey, they need to offer a bonus for officers to come, and maybe that would be in relocation and everything else. And there's the one thing I brought up with Sheriff Cole Tyndall when she was here the other day, and with Brian County the other day, or 2 weeks ago, is that where is the conversation on the type of officers? I mean, it sounds like they just want to hold out a bag and be like, yo, come get it, you know, and there, I don't think there's enough discussion on the type of officers. And that's fundamentally a problem. You're going to get some more hoaxsters up here like to play on the radio. You know what I'm saying? Or are we going to get more officers who saw Charlena Lyles weigh less than 100 pounds as a lethal threat? Are we going to get more officers that like to gas whole neighborhoods up there on Capitol Hill? You know, the highest population density in the city. These are important questions that need to be asked, because if it's just like we need to offer more money for more officers, but officers and how they impact who and what community? You know, are we looking for officers that are used to diversity? Seattle's a diverse city, as we like to say, you know? And so I don't really hear any criteria coming out of City Hall in some of these proposals as the type of officers. And I see politicians, they want to be accountable for a bonus, but are they also going to be accountable for the actions? You see?
This is really an important topic. Oh, and I'll say that I agree 100%. One of the things that we have to really account for in terms of policing is the tactics of policing. You cannot train out some of the tactics that some officers take. You know, I have this feeling that we hear it all the time. Oh, when they talk about police training, and that police training is going to be the guiding factor to end all of this kind of discrimination that we see take shape on the force, and that the community ends up dealing with it as a personal account. This is something that is not, I think, can be trained away. And we keep seeing that it doesn't really work that way. So the idea of being able to hold officers accountable for their actions is so valid here. And also, my thing is this: you have officers, and this is not my assumption. This is truth. This is factual, where you have officers who are running away from certain states and certain jurisdictions because of the actions that have played out there, but doesn't mean that they can't be rehired here. We got to really think about that.
Let me say that. Let me drop this one. I'm gonna get out of here. Is that people need to realize too? Are you with just no criteria? Are you bringing more officers here that are going to give these black officers hell? Because please believe it, the black officers here in the Seattle Police Department, you see it there in Seattle Times today, the Tacoma Police Department, and in the Sheriff's Office, they catch hell in their locker room and out on the streets, you know? And so, like, man, who are you bringing in here? We saw people on that force sabotage Chief Best. You feel me? Like, man, come on. So it needs to be, I think, we need to look at, when they talk about hiring police here, we need to look at the type of officer and whether they hit the city. Yeah. So, man, I'm gonna get out of here. You know, I'll talk about this stuff all day. Who we got coming up first?
Yes, I'm so excited. Anthony Powers. I know we have a great. There it is. Anthony Powers is joining us after this short break. So looking forward to diving into the discussion with him about American equity.
All right, good stuff. I'm out of here for the rest of the show. I will see you guys tomorrow. We're gonna go to break right now. Coming back with Trey and Anthony Powers. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
As a non-binary Black femme, a lot of my identity is rooted in body. Once the vaccine was introduced, it was really difficult to think in terms of safety as well as autonomy. As a Black American, the relationship with government is very complicated. It's hard to trust. A lot of these conspiracies are really impacting people making a decision, especially with Black folks, to be clear about what we're doing. I think it's just a well-rounded conversation to see what's best for us.
Hey there, it's Trey Holiday. And of course, Besa and I had to take a trip back to Market Street Shoes to grab some items. They always know what to show us. And let me tell you, we both spent quality time to be sure we collected some amazing additions to our wardrobes. They have some of the most unique bags, shoes, and accessories. I mean, the whole shebang. It's always a good time when I get to shop with my girl Besa. Make sure you go check out Market Street Shoes, y'all, and you too can walk out with some dope gear.
The breathtaking new musical, Afterwards, is the story of the art we make from the love that shapes us. When three women discover unexpected truths, a dazzling mosaic of intersecting lives reveals itself. Featuring a revelatory and soulful new score. Don't miss the world premiere of this captivating new musical, Afterwards, at the Fifth Avenue Theater, April 29th to May 21st. Tickets at fifthavenue.org.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Morning Update Show. I am your co-host. Now, I guess host, because my co-host is left for the day. But joining me right now is my bro out here doing it big for community and beyond, Anthony Powers with American Equity. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. And I would have to ask, could we save the last 5 minutes? I know it's not why I'm here, but what the brother was just talking about with the police and all that, you know, I was part of a project a couple years ago. We had some ideas that I think would be groundbreaking, and if we could, I'll have the last 5 minutes if we can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, this is all about really opening up the discussion. And, you know, I was actually going to say that to you because you really are working on the solutions on the ground, but also on the inside. I mean, we have talked about this the very first time I got to interview you. So we definitely got to dig into it. I think it was great that we ended that segment there around, you know, the accountability of policing and what that looks like, particularly in the hiring process. And I'm sure you have some gems to drop on that. But I'm really excited because the last time you were here, you were telling us about the website. It was just in its beta phase, right? You guys were like working on this kind of launch. Tell us about what's happened since we actually had you here last.
So a few things have happened since the last launch. One is we flew out to DC to have our national launch. The local launch was supposed to be before the national launch, but then it got postponed. So we went out to Georgetown University, who hosted us. So shout out to Mark Howard, who's a professor of government and law, one of the most prestigious law schools in the country, for hosting us. And shout out to his staff, Virginia, Kate, and Evelyn, who, you know, it's kind of hard planning things on another coast, you know? Yeah. So shout out to all of them. And they're really big on a lot of criminal justice reforms. They helped a lot of brothers out who were incarcerated, and they started out while they were incarcerated. And then they got them not only jobs in Georgetown, but got them accepted into Georgetown as students.
This is really, really exciting, Anthony. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about a website that is really going to allow people to utilize this dashboard. Make sure the audience is familiar with that, because you explained it really well the last time. But this is a dashboard that allows people to really check how judges have judged, right?
Yeah. And this is only the beginning, because we're in the process of getting over 50 years worth of data. We also got a lot of police data. So we want to measure everything ultimately from that first 911 call all the way till after somebody's released from incarceration, right? So you can really measure at all points what are the areas. We know the areas of concern, right? But you can know who the people are behind those. Get at the root causes and get them out the way, get some reforms done. and really bring equity to the system.
Well, tell us about, how DC took to this, because you're talking about one of the most prestigious law schools in the country. That's huge news because, you had this idea connected with Microsoft. They're like, oh my gosh, this is a phenomenal idea. But you had really thought so much of it out in the beginning to bring it to Microsoft for them to be able to take it and then build this dashboard. But tell us about how Georgetown received, how now, wait a minute, now, law students and, people that are looking to be connected to the justice system in multiple ways. Now they get to utilize this dashboard to educate themselves, right?
Hey, what's exciting is they want to have a partnership now. I thought, things were going downhill because I had bronchitis and I was battling bronchitis and I was like, I'm going to make it. But, if you lack oxygen, then it makes your bronchitis worse. So wearing that mask for 9 hours, going over there, I was having coughing fits. I ended up in the emergency room the day of the event. So after I got on some painkillers and all that, I was like, I'm going to make it. Blaze was joking that I was like Jordan coming back with the flu, but, I couldn't miss out on, that the opportunity that they provided us. Right. So I actually missed my speech, but I made the reception and me and Mark were talking to each other. Then he actually called home, which shows how impressed he was with it. Right. He called home because he was supposed to go to a school event for his kid and canceled his appearance there so that we can go out to dinner. And he told me at dinner that he wants to partner with us.
Wow. Tell us a bit about what that looks like, because already this is something that'll be launched obviously nationally. So that means people across all of these different states can begin to utilize this dashboard. Tell us about how that partnership with Georgetown elevates all of this.
Because it allows us to have people who are familiar with the legal system nationwide to be able to reach out and get these data sources. And the more data we get, the more expansive and the more in-depth we can get with what exactly it covers, right? So, like I said, we want to get to the root causes. Just like right now, as the version that's on right now is, you can see every single judge and how they sentence based off race, age, gender, or socioeconomic status. So, ultimately, you want that to apply to police and everybody else.
Wow. I mean, you're talking about a whole nother level of this. I mean, originally, I know that when we first talked, you were like, look, we want to be able to showcase, the lineage, I guess, of defense attorneys, of public defenders, right? Like all of this, like really getting to the heart of it from that side. But to bring in the police, that is exactly what we were just talking about in terms of having a way to hold police accountable. Now it doesn't have to be you diving through a bunch of public records requests.
Exactly.
It's going to be out there for people to be able to plug in certain points, and then the data spits it out to them, correct?
Yeah, and they shouldn't have any objections, because they say most police are good police and there's some bad apples. They should be glad to get rid of the bad apples and know who they are and how to get rid of them, right? So
Well, this right here is one of those things that I think is beyond, because we talk about, it's not just about the individual police officer. We understand that it's about the system, right?
Exactly,
So, how do you think this dashboard will really be able to showcase a lot of those systemic inequities? Because this is called American equity, right?
Yes.
Justice plan. How can it really establish an understanding of the systemic level of all of this?
Well, we just did a training for the Washington Defenders Association. So, there's a lot of people who deny that there's even inequities out there, right? I mean, they're still believing that. But when we show through data that it exists, then there leaves no room for that denial. And once there's no room for that denial, then the next step is only to bring about some solutions and really address it.
Well, for me, this is, it goes right into the heart of my advocacy work. And so I got to ask, how are nonprofit organizations and community organizations and leaders and change makers, how can they get plugged in? I know last time you were here, we talked about maybe trying to get together to do some training for some of these organizations so that they understand how to utilize this dashboard in a way that's going to then impact the work that they're doing. We're talking about rewriting state level policy and legislation. What does it look like for, people who are involved at that advocacy kind of activism level to be able to utilize this data?
And that's why we're trying to increase our outreach, because we want to increase those trainings, right? And even in the legal world Right now, we got something that we're building out called the Redemption Project of Washington. I don't know if I spoke on that last time I was here. So the Seattle Clemency Project, Washington Defenders Association, and the Office of Public Defense, we're having a big conference in January where we hope to have some Supreme Court justices, legislators, and then legal actors on all sides, come together because the justice system has some redeeming to do, right? They have some redeeming to do. They've done our people pretty dirty, and it's time to really make some true changes. And the reason that they named it the Redemption Project of Washington, because the original name was the Post-Conviction Reentry and Relief Center. The reason they named it the Redemption Project Washington was in homage to the work that I founded in the prison system.
Yeah, which I was gonna have to get back to that because just touching on that, you started that work while you were in the institution, but you have continued that work on the outside. Just tell us a bit about kind of the history of the Redemption Project work that's been happening now across, I think, almost all the prisons, right? Just tell us how you have been able to continue that work and the start of that work a little bit too, to make sure our audience knows.
Yeah. So the idea was. It was really to change the negative cultures of prisons, right? Which was ambitious. And it was to get us to stop being a negative influence on each other because we were influencing each other to continue the criminal lifestyle and get out. And like that's some kind of glorification. Really, we're only tearing down our own people. So to abandon the criminal lifestyle and actually start thinking about how can we benefit community from here and how can we benefit community and lead in community once we do get out there.
Well, you have really been such an inspiration, I know, to so many people who I think have woken up to their own truths, right? And sometimes that's a brutal truth when you're talking about how, you're part of hurting your own people. I want to hear from you, though, about because a lot of people don't understand. This is why I always say it's so important to have people who have lived experience talking to others who are living that same experience. It's very, very, a very unique relationship that happens and occurs there because oftentimes they got deaf ears if they're trying to listen to somebody who's never lived it. Tell us a bit about that and maybe some of the cases where it was like maybe a young person who was just like, man, I ain't trying to hear that. I ain't trying to hear that, but you eventually get through to them. How has that been in terms of your experience, really injecting this inspiration into other people?
I mean, I was able to reach all different races, everybody, all different groups and gangs in the prisons. I had a unique knack for that. But after getting out, I started working with some of the young brothers before COVID, and I was talking to them. First, I started off by talking about the criminal justice system. I say, look, I don't condone you out here, messing up. But if you do, here's what you got to expect, right? And then I would talk about my past, and then I talk about opportunities that they have that they might not realize they have, and how you need to start coming up with short-term and long-term goals, and actually start, empowering yourself. So, what I saw is with the youth is when I was talking to them, and this is a packed room, right? And when I was talking to them, they're like, "Man, nobody's ever talked to us like this before," right? But I brought the credibility with my past. Because they were shocked when they heard about some of the stuff I used to do. But just making that connection with them on a real level, it makes it more valid when you have something to say about, how you can get out of it. And that's why I try to tell brothers who work with the youth, don't try to glorify the stuff. Don't think the validity is talking like a gang member. The validity is showing them what they can become. And even though they used to be where they at, literally, that they can get out of it completely and live a better life and be better for the community.
This is something that I think is some of the most powerful work. And the last time I was talking to you, I really found myself getting so kind of like internally emotional about it, like so excited because it's like the relief that so many activists and, civic engagement leaders, and you talk about civil rights leaders, this is what they were trying to do, I think, the whole time. Anthony, and you've really unlocked something here in terms of how to reach young people. And I mean, like you said, it's people of all ages, because sometimes they'll talk about you can't, teach an old dog new tricks and all this. Somebody who's, lived that life for 50 plus years, it's sometimes really difficult for them to see themselves as now a part of the solution. But that's why that's my biggest moniker here on the Morning Update Show and beyond. I talk about it in community all the time. How are you being a part of the solution? But you really was like, no, I'm just going to do this thing. And I think it starts with your own awakening, which you described in the last interview we had. But this for me is like, I don't even know how you move forward, because this is everything. Like, what you're doing is so phenomenal, and it sets a foundation for many generations to come. How is that for you in terms of understanding the ripple effect of what you're doing? Because you started again in the prisons, and now you have this amazing dashboard that's launching, nationally. I mean, it goes to a whole nother level.
Yeah. Well, I think about, first I try to stay humble,
Yeah.
but I think about my family members. When I found out some of my own family history, my great grandfather on my mom's side, he opened up the first African American storefront in the Northwest, and he made a lot of money, bought up a lot of money over in like the Yakima area. When it started developing, started selling it off, became one of the wealthiest African Americans of his time, until they accused him of messing with a white woman and they murdered him. And you know the story. And then my great grandmother, my mom's mom, right? She was the first African American to work for the post office in Portland, Oregon. And when she went to get the job, she told me that her friends told her, "Why are you even going to try to get the job? They don't hire black people." And she said, "Well, if I don't try, then I'm not going to find out." You know what I'm saying? So she said, "There's no one to find out, and that's if I try. And if I don't try, I'm not going to find out." Right? And she got the job. My mom's mom, she was up here in Seattle, got divorced, went back to the Bay Area with my mom and her two sisters, started off as a secretary at IBM, first African-American secretary at IBM, then worked her way up to a management position. After that, retired and wrote for 3 soap operas, As the World Turns, Guiding Light, and All My Children. After that, wrote a play that blew up big in Germany. You know what I mean? So it's like, and her husband was, actually her dad, was in the Negro League. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I look at what they did, and it's like, they did what they did under the conditions they were under. Then what am I doing? Really.
Yeah, every time, somebody, I just heard it this weekend, was like, I don't have the comfort or the ability to be tired when I think about our ancestors and what they pushed through in terms of their conditions. Yeah. Anthony, this is huge.
I got one more thing.
Yeah, please.
We got it.
Yeah,
we got to get this in.
Yeah,
so
please.
A couple years ago, when they were talking about defund the police, right? And then it scared even old black folks, right? So I mean, we got to acknowledge the verbiage we use, right? So we started using the word divest and invest, because you heard divest and you don't think, okay, but won't, right? So if they just divested, because they're talking about what would we do with 200 million, and then they start going on a few months, like, what would we do with 100 million? They want to find less. If they just invested in a black youth academy, a private black school, right, and made it large, right, and at that school, not only teach them life skills, how to get out, but also teach them trades, because some people are hands-on, right? Mm-hmm. And the trades are 6-figure jobs. Teach them tech. There's 1 million tech jobs open in America. And then, when they graduate high school, they might not even have to go to college, because they already learn that stuff in this black academy. It's the same idea that Converge does with media. It'd just be a Converge, academy. So, I mean, but it's like, you could spend a little bit of money and do it. You can start off with the 2 blackest counties in Washington State, right? You can spend a little bit of money, and over the course of 5 or 10 years, it's going to start changing things that are done completely, right? Because you can start thinking, and how do you invest in the black community? How do you have a black car dealership so that we ain't putting money in their pockets and we put money in our own community? How do you have a black grocery store? How do you have black, what I'm saying? And start investing. But when we teach the youth and give them the opportunity, because a lot of reasons the youth never make it out of the mindset that they're in is because they don't think there's nothing to strive for. They don't really believe it's possible, right? So when you show them what is possible and you give them the opportunities to make it possible, then that's when we could really be, in the position that we need to be.
I agree 100%. And before I let you all the way go, I mean, you mentioned it earlier here, just in terms of police accountability and the hiring process. I want to give you a couple minutes. We may not have 5, but a couple minutes for you to just maybe talk about that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's really we already know it's a systemic cultural thing, and a lot of the police, they don't relate to the black community at all. And then what I've seen personally, and this is my own personal experience, a lot of the black officers, they seem like they're so caught up trying to prove themselves in that position that they end up going harder on their own people, right? So there definitely needs to be an accountability. But my mindset is that we need to really, I think we're over policed. So there needs to be new training, but there also needs to be a new mindset on police. Of course, police are going to want more police, because if there's more police, that means you're less likely, if there are cuts, to get cut, right? So we need to really think outside of this over-policing model and really think about how do you get to the root causes of what leads to crime in the first place, and then that's going to make the community safer in itself. And we're the people, we're the taxpayers, we're the one paying those salaries. So really we need to rally and not just have it be a reactionary thing to something in the news, but have it be something that we're rallied around and that we have objectives that we're striving towards, and we don't stop until we meet those objectives.
I agree 100%. This is why I love your idea of the academy. And we see this happening. ACE Academy, Rainier Valley Leadership Academy. Yeah. We're seeing some of what you're talking about in terms of injecting the youth with that vision, and that inspiration to understand how much they can be a part of the solutions in crafting new pathways for themselves and others that look like them, and others that think like them. Right? Because sometimes it's just value-based, right? And this is why the Black Panthers were successful in the ways that they were, because they were like, look, it's not just about Black people, it's about poor people. So they were going to all of the folks who were living in the same socioeconomic situation that they were living in. And that was the value and the connectivity. I could talk to you all day, Anthony. I'm so grateful that you were here. Congratulations on this national launch. I can't wait to dive into Blaze and hear about this local event. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Amazing. We're going to be talking to Blaze Vincent coming up next after this short break. There he is, right on. We're going to be talking about the local launch event happening this month. You guys stay tuned after this short break. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
My name is Josephine, and I live in Renton, Washington. I am a singer, and I use the arts as a way for me to elaborate on all the concerns of our community. I ended up with COVID, and it impacted my life greatly. I was told sometimes to rest, but resting felt like I would die. I was told to lay down, but laying down flat took my breath away. Even after getting COVID, I still did not want to have anything to do with the vaccination. There was much fear in the African American community, and no one should react out of fear. Before you do anything, pray. And make sure that you're praying to get the answer and not praying to get your answer. Since I received the vaccination, I've been able to breathe. Reconsider asking yourself why you are hesitant, because it wouldn't come up if it didn't need to come out. I'm telling you to stand and make a choice. We'll be all right.
The breathtaking new musical, Afterwards, is the story of the art we make from the love that shapes us. When three women discover unexpected truths, a dazzling mosaic of intersecting lives reveals itself. Featuring a revelatory and soulful new score. Don't miss the world premiere of this captivating new musical, Afterwards, at the Fifth Avenue Theater, April 29th to May 21st. Tickets at fifthavenue.org.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Morning Update Show. I am your co-host, Trey Holiday. And, what an amazing discussion I was able to have there with Anthony Powers. It's clear that there is some change that is needed, but it's also clear that change is on the way. And I'm excited to talk about the local launch event of American Equity and the dashboard that we will all get to use to hold more of these guys in the justice system accountable. I got to bring in my brother, Blaze. What's up, Blaze?
What's up?
Hey, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yes, I'm glad to be back.
I gotta say, both of y'all looking sharp. I forgot to say it while you was on, Anthony. Y'all looking sharp today.
Absolutely, because we got business.
About that business. Like he said, town business.
Yeah.
Now, this is really exciting because you guys have already done the national launch. Tell us a bit more about the local effort happening here with American Equity.
All right. So, first and foremost, it's about my community more so than anything. So it's launching at Seattle U on 14th and Yesler. I was raised in the Bryan Manor on 18th and Yesler. My mom still stays there. She's been staying there since 92, despite all the gentrification. So, this event means something, community-wise, geographically for me. So, I just to get back to my community and actually be on the forefront of, addressing these issues, these systemic issues in which how we lost our community. And we're talking about a movement to try to get our community back. that means the most to me.
It's really important because I think so many of us, we have to see it to believe it, right?
Yeah.
And the idea of, what Anthony was talking about was, how young people get inspired is because they were talking to people who had lived it. And I know you have been a part of that. Tell us about some of the excitement that you get to be able to bring such an amazing effort into the community. As you said, it's about community. And Seattle University has its own pedigree in terms of law school students and what they're doing there. Tell us about why you guys were able to connect to Seattle University and say, this is where we need to do this local launch.
I'm not really sure like exactly why. I think it's the universe. You're gonna have to ask Anthony why he made the logistics, For me, the excitement for me is to be out here on the ground with my community, right? To be out there with Freedom All or the Freedom Project or Kids Are Kids or Washington Can or, all the boots on the ground, right? And to be, fresh out. Like this is like day 120 since I've been out. And to be able to be on the ground and doing the work, but then also be part of, this launch right here with American Equity and Justice Group with this equity dashboard, which is a tool for us to leverage and get some exponential progress towards what we're doing on the ground.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's the excitement is that we actually, are taking advantage of this technology. Seattle's like a technology hub. It's like the second Silicon Valley up here, right? And so we have all this technology, these Amazons, these Microsofts, these corporations, and et cetera. But, historically, due to income inequality and education and people migrating here, it wasn't our communities who took advantage of those opportunities to leverage that technology. Right. And so for us to be doing this now, to actually be leveraging this technology and for the work that we're doing, I think this is like a turning point for where we're going in Seattle with the movement.
I agree. I mean, I think it's not only just a turning point, but it's such a necessity right now. I think, I was just explaining this the other day to my child, and it's like, people get so bombarded with the fact that there hasn't been much progress or much movement right now. And this is something I want to make sure both of you know. I keep on sharing this. The Fry Museum has a time capsule project where they are opening it up to Black folks only to share audio history about whatever you want to share. And then they will open this time capsule in 21-23. So what you guys are doing, like, please get out there and share. Check out the Fry Museum. I think about this because I think about 100 years before us. And I'm like, we are still kind of fighting for the same things. If you look at protest movements from 100 years ago and what we were just asking for and demanding for in terms of change, it's the same thing. And the idea that what we need right now is a real leg up to changing these systems, because people get burnt out, Blaze. Like they get burnt out because not enough is moving or progressing. But this right here, this dashboard, what you all are doing, it really is a game changer.
Yeah, well, for me and Anthony, we have a different perspective, right? Because he did 27 years in prison from the age of 17. I did 18 years in prison from the age of 17. And so why the community on the outside has like a myopic vision of the progress, it's like we done been to some depths or some bottoms to where we see a perspective to where progress is being made. And progress is being made with this movement in real time. And it's just the narratives. There's not enough of the success stories day to day that's being told. And that's why, individuals get pessimistic about it. That's why Converge media and Black media really matters, because it's important. We got stories that we can tell every day about success within the struggle. And so personally for me, I have super more optimism because the work that I'm doing as a community advocate and paralegal and helping my guys and the women that are incarcerated right now and watching them advocate for them and get them out of prison. It's like I have a way like more just upbeat and optimistic aspect of it because I'm literally participating in the liberation of our people. So, like I said, if we just shine the spotlight on that and see what's really done, I think everybody would be like way more encouraged, way more optimistic, way more just motivated and galvanized for what we're doing. One of the examples I want to share is with Kids Are Kids. A young woman named Rena, she got a son that was incarcerated and was a juvenile trial as an adult. And, you know, she joined on with Kids Are Kids. Shout out to KL. Shout out to my lady, Donika Adams, who frontlines it with me. Shout out to Rose and all the crew from Kids Are Kids. But, you know, we did some advocacy and just showed support for her and for her son. And, you know, we bettered the outcome that he would have had we not intervened. And now she's part of Kids Are Kids, right? So it's like, you know, these are stories that are not uncommon on the ground. So like, it's just important that we share it. So, you know, I make sure when I grab a mic and somebody asks me, I'm quick to say, nah, we're making progress. Nah, we're strong out here. Nah, we're winning. Nah, we can win.
I love that. It's literally why I posed the question to you, because honestly, you know, it is necessary. Not enough people are knowledgeable about what's happening. And this is why I love being here at Converge, because we have to share the platform to make sure that people do get that understanding. And even if it's one story at a time, every time you've come on, every time I have somebody who is able to break the monotony of thought around, man, we're not really, what's up, you know, this and that, because I'm like you, right? First of all, I understand, you know, what a lot of our ancestors understood in terms of being divine beings. We've talked about that before, and how that's a thorough line to people understanding like what we're doing right now is setting a precedence for the next generation. This is why I really appreciate Christopher Jordan. I'm gonna give you another shout out because of this time capsule project. It's like for me to be able to share something of a part of my lived experience for people 100 years from now, to be able to hear that and to understand what we've been doing right now to really set a foundation for how they're going to be living is so important, and it's so key. So I really thank you for always being optimistic. It is necessary, and our families need that, and our community needs that. To give us the details about this event happening this month, so people, I know people can register, so Mom will be putting the link in the comments. You can look right there, make sure folks know how to be connected to this local launch of American Equity and the Equity Dashboard.
All right, so American Equity and Justice Group is doing our local launch of the Equity Dashboard on May 17th from 4:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. From 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. will be the presentation, and from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. will be the reception. And you know, it's in my section, so I love it. And so, you know, we talk a lot about trying to hold the system accountable, right? And then I don't even like talking system because it's people making decisions. And I think when we say system, we hide behind the principals who are actually making these decisions, right? So when you just call it a system, we start calling out names of who's over convicting, who's over surveilling our communities. Actual people are doing this, but we put the system in front of it and we kind of lose where we're going with that, right? So that's where the Equity Dashboard comes in, because the Equity Dashboard has actual names and actual numbers. Particularly like for me with the tool that I use, like how I like to use it best right now is with Kids Are Kids, or with the Blake decision, in which I got a lot of comrades who are on the inside right now coming back for resentencing. First thing I do is go to the Equity Dashboard, look at the county of the conviction, look at their judge, and see the statistical analysis historically as far as how they've been sentencing people based on race. Right. So now we can get to names, not just the system. We're talking transparency, because we talk about accountability and acknowledgement, because that's what I like. I want acknowledgement, right? Acknowledge what y'all did. All right. Accountability, but they don't be trying to hold us accountable because they say we don't have the data. So what we know with our lived experience, right? With our lived experience, like, you know, this goes with DeGraw, right? You know, post-traumatic slave syndrome, with all that historical trauma that's within our spirit, within our bones, right? We know this anecdotally. This is happening to us in real time in 2022, right? Now, what we know anecdotally, this dashboard helps us confirm empirically. So, you know, they try to hit us with the stats. We got the stats now. We're going to have more stats. And so with this transparency now we can get some true acknowledgement, true accountability, and some policies and practices that they've been doing will be changed. So particularly where I know this can be leveraged at on the ground, because it's from the top down. I'm seeing it from the top down, but now getting this technology, getting this database on the ground, it's with Court Watch, it's with participatory defense. You know, it's with community advocacy. You know, we can use these statistics. We can bring this transparency to the forefront to talk about how the community-based organizations, with the services that they provide, that for years in the town have been providing measurables and deliverables to ameliorate the harms of our community. Now we can connect that with the statistical data on the harm and say, look, this harm right here, we have the services to you know, remedy that, you know, and then we go into a whole different story when we get to talking about Blake. And so, whenever you're ready to talk about that, we can talk about that too.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna have to have you back, Blaze.
Yeah.
I mean, we said it before. I'm so inspired by y'all. I can't even tell you, as a mother with 2 Black sons that I'm raising, this right here for me is a huge game changer. And what you just said just resonated in my soul so hard that yes, because I talk about the system a lot, but I love how you're talking about, no, this is people that are making these decisions. And now we are holding those people accountable to the decisions that they've made. I think it is so true. And when we think about policy at a national, global level, there are specific policies that allow those powers to constantly implicate harm on families. And so we do have to take it down to a people level. Blaze, thank you so much. I can't wait to be there. I will be there on May 17th at Seattle U. I am looking forward to this thing growing and me being able to experience it with you all. Thank you guys for the work that you're doing. And thank you for joining me today.
And thank you for shining the spotlight on us and sharing our story and letting us share our voice authentically for the people.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Yes.
Anytime. Oh my goodness, you guys. I'm telling you, we told you good every day. It's a great show here. These guys just killed it for me. And I really, again, of course, want to encourage you guys to see yourself as a part of the solution. Clearly, these 2 brothers who just shared their story are really doing that work on the ground. They are doing it in every way that they possibly can. Be inspired for you to be a part of the solution, because I'm going to tell you right now, this world needs it. We need all of the voices to be involved and to be included in crafting and building new solutions that are going to create a foundation of how we change all of these things. Oh, of course. Before we let you go, we got to let you guys know, Marriage of Figaro, there it is. Tickets are still on sale. I can't wait. This Sunday, I get to go see Norman Garrett do his thing. But please go to Seattle Opera. You guys can find the tickets there. Again, I'm looking forward to a great show because we're talking about iconic show and iconic costumes. I'm all about that life. Of course, we're going to end this show all the way right with Shayna Shepherd giving you guys some hope. And until then, please go forward in your purpose and go forward in your humanity. We'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Peace.
What do I see through a lens of fear? 1,000 little steps to go. What do I fear after all these years? Lord knows I don't even know. I've been running on the edge of a sundial, sleeping in the shadow. I've been begging you to see me, then hiding beyond the unreachable. Looking out left on a right-hand turn, just trying to